I call to order this regular meeting of the Show Low Planning and Zoning Commission for Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. Roll call shows this evening that we are missing Commissioners Adams, Schneff, and Wilson, but we still have 4 members present and have a quorum. Next, we will have the invocation given by Commissioner Whipple, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Roberts. If you'd like to join us, please stand.
Our dear Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee this evening, we are grateful for the opportunity that we have to get together to discuss the needs of our community. And at this time, we ask Thee to please bless us with Thy Spirit, that we can converse things that will be beneficial. We ask Thee to please bless our leaders of the community, as well as national leaders, that they can also make good decisions. And these things we pray for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is new business. The only item we have is item A, consideration of conditional use permit 602-04-265, submitted by Brandon Garvin to allow for the reduction in side yard setbacks from 21 feet to 16 feet for a detached building over 15 feet in height located at 261 East Whipple, that being APN 210-32-010E, and I will turn it over to Director Tregaskis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A little bit of background on this. Brandon Garvin has submitted the conditional use permit application on behalf of James and Barbara Farpella. The purpose of this application is to allow for the reduction in side yard setbacks from 21 feet to 16 feet for an 18-foot wide by 50-foot long RV carport over 15 feet in height on property located at 261 East Whipple, that being APN 212-32010E. The subject property is zoned R115, which is defined as single-family residential, 15,000 square feet. City Code Section 19.25.060F3 states, quote, detached accessory buildings shall meet street side setbacks. Side and rear setbacks shall be equal to or greater than the height of the accessory building. Any encroachment into these permitted side and rear setbacks shall require a conditional use permit, which is why we're here this evening. A 21-foot tall accessory structure is proposed along the west property line of the subject property. Side yard setbacks in this case would be required to match or exceed the height of the structure, unless otherwise approved through a conditional use permit. The applicant is requesting a reduction in the side yard setbacks from 21 feet to 16 feet from the west property line. As indicated on the attached site plan, the proposed structure will be located approximately 337 feet from East Whipple. Findings of fact are as follows. According to county records, the subject property is approximately 4.8 acres in size. The northwest corner of the property is fairly level. That's the portion that's under consideration this evening, with approximately 40 feet of fall as you move to the east. So as you go from the west property line to the east, the property has 40 foot of topography going downhill. The applicant is currently in the process of completing a home on the subject property for the property owner. An RV carport has been proposed to protect their RV while they are at the home. Number 5, current zoning of the surrounding properties includes to the north, R17, which is single-family residential, 7,000 square feet. To the south, R110, single-family residential, manufactured homes excluded, 10,000 square feet. And R115, single-family residential, manufactured homes excluded, 15,000 square feet. Same zoning is to the properties to the east, and the property to the west is R115, again, single-family residential, manufactured homes excluded, 15,000 square foot minimum lot sizes. The current land uses of the surrounding properties include to the north, the Timber Ridge subdivision, to the south and east, single-family residential, and to the west, the Jehovah's Witness Church. Transmittal memos were sent to all affected agencies. No applicable comments were received. Number 8, staff has received several phone calls from notified individuals. No opposition has been received regarding the proposed development at the time that the staff summary report was prepared. After reviewing the zoning ordinance, standards for review, findings of fact, discussions with the applicant, and because the request is consistent with the City of Show Low general plan, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission approve conditional use permit 602-04265 submitted by Brandon Garvin on behalf of James and Barbara Farpella to allow for the reduction in side yard setbacks from 21 feet to 16 feet for a detached building over 15 feet in height on property located at 261 East Whipple, that being APN 212-32010E, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, all development shall comply with all applicable federal, state, and local requirements. Number 2, per city code, any exterior lights shall be shielded so that the source of light is not visible from adjacent properties or the city right-of-way. And number 3, RV occupancy shall be in compliance with time limits as established in City Code, Chapter 19.25.120A. With that, staff as well as the representative the applicant is available for questions.
Thank you, Director Tregaskis. Do any members of the commission have questions for staff?
It's right against that, so on the, yeah, F is where the proposed garage is gonna be. Where's that in relationship to the other two parcels to the west? Is some of it on Jehovah's Witness and then some of it's on private? Kind of where that sits?
So, as indicated on the submitted site plan, the RV carport, RV garage will be located entirely on the subject property.
Right, but I'm talking about to the properties to the west.
Hmm.
Is it closer to the Jehovah's Witness piece, or is it closer to the other private piece behind Jehovah's Witness?
So, we've got the aerial photo on the overhead. The area that I'm kind of circling with the arrow here, that's approximately where this is proposed to go. So it's almost directly adjacent to the parking lot on the Jehovah's Witness church property.
Is the reason for this because they have what, about 2 acres here? Is it because the other 2 acres are not wanting to build on, or it's just unbuildable because it's rougher terrain?
So, kind of this northwest portion of the property, that's the portion of the property that is the most flat. It's the most conducive for building. It's the most conducive for parking an RV or a camp trailer without having to do a pretty major cut or a pretty major fill. They do have an existing dog run, which is shown here on the site plan as letter E. That starts to fall off the hill right there. They didn't really want to push the dog run any further down the hill because of the topography. And so they're trying to place this in between the dog run and the side property line next to that parking lot, which is the reason for the 5-foot request.
Just a quick question to clarify. So if the topography wasn't this way and they were able to move the building over 5 feet, they wouldn't be coming to the commission at all. They would be able to get a building permit for that? If it was 21 feet from the property line?
If it was 21 feet, it would meet the code as written and no conditional use permit would be required.
Any questions for the, Commissioner?
Again, we haven't had any objections from the property owners on the west side.
No.
Any more questions for staff? Any questions for the applicant? Anyone from the public who would like to talk about this agenda item, you may come forward and do so at this time.
Yes, I do. I live right across the street from all of this.
All right, if you could just come up and state your name and address for the record.
Mrs. Madeleine McDonald, I live at 280 Timber Ridge Loop, and I live here full-time. My neighbors on either side of me, one is a rental house, which they couldn't care less what's happening. And the other side, they're here only part of the time, and the rest of them are part-timers. I live here full-time, and I've been listening to all this construction going on. I can't even sit on my deck because I hear constant nailing, loud music, and I'm not going to say anything about who's speaking. But anyhow, when my husband and I, we were put our manufactured home on our property, we were giving all these guidelines that we couldn't do. We had to abide by your rules, your zoning laws, and we had to even cut our deck to a certain size because it would interfere with this 20-foot clearance, or whatever you call it. My husband just passed away recently, so I'm trying to manage all of this myself. And I give him the same consideration you guys gave us, which was nothing. We abided by your zoning laws, and they've got more damn property than I have. So why in hell should they get 5 foot more clearance than we did? I am against it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for your time. Anyone else from the public?
Tony Leonardo, 281 Timber Ridge Loop, Sholo. I moved here 19 years ago from Chicago. Spent a lot of time with you getting shoehorning my house onto the property to stay within the regulations. And him and I shoehorned it quite a bit to get it in. Where are we going? We're going to become Flagstaff, Tucson, Phoenix? What the hell's going on here? Seems to me there's plenty of land here to put it someplace else. I don't want to be looking across the street from my deck and looking at buildings again. I came here to look at trees and mountains and meadows. I looked at buildings for 65 years of my life. And I got the hell out of there because I didn't want to look at them anymore. Now they're building one right across from my deck. And 21 foot's going to be visible. We're not talking about some little hut. So I'm against it, obviously.
Thank you, sir. I'll give an opportunity for the applicant and Director Tregaskis if you want to respond to any of those comments before I bring it back to the commission for further discussion.
My name is Brandon Garvin, and I'm the owner of Out West Construction. And, we build a very quality home. And, the applicants do have the money to build a home that they're building. They too have lived in a city their whole life. The city that at one time, they told me had 3,000 people in it. And now it has 3 million people in it. And so, I guess I always tell people that I help them build their dream. So whatever their dream is, that's what I help them build. And they're an elderly couple as well. They've worked very hard to have what they have. I have nothing but the utmost respect for James and Barbara. They've been very honest people. They've always done what they said they would do. And so I feel it's my obligation as their hired contractor to represent them and represent what they're wishing. Barbara has a hard time walking. And as stated before, the lot falls very, very quickly to the east, to the north. And so we built in their buildable area. And so that is why we have placed the dog run. They have 2 dogs that they've had for a long time, and they've built a very comfortable place for their dogs. And they also are trying to build a very nice structure that will hide the RV from the view of the church members. Because where we're building this, it actually will be directly behind the church house. And so we have reached out to the church members. The congregation there has been very welcoming of the Farpellas, because they're the ones who are going to look directly at this and see it. Most people will only see the home. It is a very large home. It's a very nice home. And they've paid a lot of money to build this home there. So, I mean, we've done everything by the book. That's why we're here asking for this, because, you know, we have cleared as many trees as they want to take. They too want to look at the trees. They love the elk and deer that come and live on their bench there below them. And so we've taken just as many trees as we need to build the property. We're in the course of building nice retaining walls on the entrance right now to retain the mud and stuff so that it doesn't go out into the street, so that we can protect the street. I mean, they've put a lot into their property. They will continue to put a lot into the landscaping. It will be a very nice looking structure when it is done. So if you have any questions.
How many square feet is the primary structure?
The primary structure under roof is just under 13 with garage, home, decks. Yeah.
That RV is 280 feet directly back to the south, correct?
It is. It's clear up on
80
the,
feet off of Whipple.
yes,
South.
straight south. Yep. Yeah. And their whole reason for it, you know, they want to just park their RV so that they can hide, you know, so they can keep it clean.
Well, it's gonna be finished out just like the house, correct?
It will when it's done, yes. So, okay.
Brandon, would it, regardless of where you put it, you're still looking at building a 21-foot tall building?
We have to, yeah, to get the RV underneath.
Whether it's here or whether it's scoot over another 5 feet, you're still gonna have a 21-foot building on the.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Is that where that fall starts to happen?
Oh, yeah.
Off that back side? Off
Yeah.
the north side or south side?
Yes, Perkins built the pad for us, and we put 6 feet of fill in on the back side to lift it up level for that turnaround. So we designed it in such a way that so they can pull straight in and make the turn and pull back down the driveway and then back straight into the RV garage.
That's about all the pad is up on top.
It is. It's all to turn that RV around. It really is. Yeah. Yes.
The height of the main building.
35 feet. It's right at county minimums.
So this 21-foot structure would be 14 feet lower than the highest point of the house.
Yes, sir.
And it's 280 feet or 337 feet? Because I saw something that referenced 337 feet from Whipple to
Here, can't see that.
building.
It's 281 feet from the south entrance. So literally from the driveway entrance to the front is 281 feet. And then to the rear, it's another 185 feet.
Middle of the structure.
That lot line on the west side is 337 feet,
Yeah.
and this is about,
Oh, it's 621 feet. It's 621.41 feet, Doug. See that?
let me look on the plot plan.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I could point out, on the overhead and as included in the packet on the site plan, there is a dimension that's provided, it's written in right here by the word driveway. A little bit hard to see on the scan. The more copies you make, the more it breaks down. But the copy that we have in the file indicates that that dimension is 337 feet. That would be from the Whipple right-of-way to the front of the proposed structure.
That was
I read that
more
wrong,
than
sorry.
280
I
feet.
was trying to look.
More than 280 feet back from Whipple.
Correct.
That was
331 feet.
what I had referenced.
I read that wrong. I apologize. It looked like a 2.
Yeah, so 337 feet from the street. And this driveway has a little bit of an incline on it coming off of Whipple.
17 feet.
Huh?
17 feet from the surface. Yeah, so from the curb at Whipple to where we're building the structure, 17 feet of difference.
Yeah, I inspected the property the other day and noticed that that was an incline going back to where the RV property was. So I don't know if it's, I guess at 337 feet, I would think, and it's lower than 35 feet, which is the house. And you got 21 feet here, and you got 337 feet from there to the street. My question becomes, how visible is it actually going to be from the street? So until it's built, we won't know.
We've actually placed it in such a way that we left trees up the west side. So as you're looking up the driveway, and if you actually look at this site plan, we actually have set it back and we have left trees so that trees will block half the view of it going up the side. It's most visible as you go in the congregation's parking lot, the Jehovah Witness parking lot. As you come around, then you're going to see it right there.
Hence my concern on the property owners on the west side. They would be the ones who would be most impacted by this, correct?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Whipple.
Is there any sort of fence or anything? I just haven't been by that property for a while. Is there anything between this property and the Jehovah Witness church there?
Or wire, bob wire fence. Yeah, and I think that fence is 100 years old.
Is your client gonna continue with his privacy fence like he's doing in the front off Whipple?
They are.
Between there?
They are, yeah, we think that it's gonna be about a year. We started the project on June 6th. We're already at drywall stage. I mean, we're moving pretty quickly and we're trying to get the home done. We want to get them in it by the end of February. So we're moving pretty quickly. So all of the landscaping is gonna take place this coming summer and stuff with fences and stuff like that. So we'll be back and forth through the city a lot to make sure we get approval on all that stuff.
Tensu?
Raj, I just want to clarify, when you said you inspected the property, was that for commission or do you have any other?
No, I actually went over there on my own. It wasn't under any kind of official thing. I just wanted to see what it looked like, and I didn't actually drive up onto the property. I only looked at it from the street.
I just wanted to make sure that you didn't have some sort of involvement or conflict that we needed to.
No, nothing there.
Director Tregaskis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Perhaps a little bit of clarification on setbacks and setback requirements. So in any zoning district, you have minimum setbacks that you have to be from property lines. Those are in effect regardless of what size property you have. We have some areas of town where you can have a 5,000 square foot lot. We have some areas of town which are 7,000 square foot lots, which is what Timber Ridge is across the road. We have some areas of town where the minimum lot size is an acre. That doesn't preclude somebody from having a larger piece of property. It's just those are the minimums for whatever the zoning district is. Side yard setback or all setbacks, anytime you have a street property line, you're required to be a minimum of 20 feet back with your home. That was alluded to during the public comment portion. On a 7,000 square foot lot, particularly if it's a corner lot or you have a street on the front and a street on the back, that can make an impact on where the home is placed. Certainly, and we recognize that. There's also side yard setbacks and there's rear yard setbacks. So anytime you don't have a street, then it would be either a side yard or a rear yard setback. In this case, the property in question, their minimum side yard setback for a primary structure, which is defined as essentially your house. Your house is the primary structure on the property. Those setbacks are, one has to be at least 8 feet and one has to be at least 12 feet on this specific property that we're talking about. You also can have, as the applicant has indicated, you can have a home up to 35 feet tall. So the possibility exists that you could have a 35-foot tall home 8 feet from the side property line. In this case, they didn't build their home to the minimum. They've set it in a little ways. It's approximately 118 feet from Whipple. We don't have the side setback, but it's substantially more than that 8-foot minimum would be. So they exceed the setback requirements for the home. We have different requirements for what we call an accessory structure. Now, an accessory structure is a thing like a detached garage. Maybe you have a workshop that you've got. So it's another structure that's on the property, but it's not your house. It's accessory to the house. Those have different setback requirements that actually exceed what a standard home would require. If you have an accessory structure that is 15 feet or less in height, then you only have to be 5 feet away from your property line, your side property line. If you go over 15 feet, but you're still less than the height of the home, you need to be 1-to-1 ratio. Or if you're gonna go less than that, you gotta come talk to you guys through a conditional use permit, which is why we're here this evening. In this case, the applicant has indicated that they're building a 21-foot tall building, which is approximately 14 feet shorter than what the house is. And they're asking to go 16 feet from the property line, as opposed to 21 feet, which the height of the building would generally require. If this was attached to the house, they could be 35 feet tall and they could be 8 feet from the property line. So they are going more restrictive on this structure with the setbacks than what the standard setbacks would be for a home. So again, just a little bit of clarification as to the distinction between setbacks for a house and setbacks for a detached accessory structure. These are more restrictive than what it would be for the house itself.
Thank you, Director, for the clarification on that. Mr. Garvin.
I might also add, I mean, they've put the utilities in so that when that RV is parked in there, they can take care of their wastewater. They can take care of their waste. I mean, it will not be visible from the street. You will not even see when they put the pop outs out to clean their wastewater and stuff. It will all be taken care of. There's more engineering in that building than most of the homes in Show Low, literally. So it's not just going to be thrown up. It will be a very nice structure.
More question, Director. If this garage was not detached, but was built as a part of the building, this additional CUP would not be required.
That is correct. If it was attached to the home, conditional use permit would not be required. It could be up to 35 feet tall, and it could be within 8 feet of the side property line.
Any other questions for Mr. Garvin while we have him up here? Thank you very much. All right, I will bring it back to the commission for any further discussion or a motion. Commissioner Roberts.
I move to approve CUP 602-04-265, submitted by Brandon Garvin on behalf of James and Barbara Farpelhoff, to allow for the reduction in side yard setbacks from 21 feet to 16 feet for a detached building over 15 feet in height on property located at 261 East Whipple, that being APN 212-32010E, subject to staff recommendations.
I have a motion by Commissioner Roberts. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Hatch. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And that passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Standard disclaimer, as with all conditional use permits, this will become effective in 7 days unless an appeal is received by the city clerk's office within the next 7-day time period. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Moving on to item 6, call to the public. If there's anyone wishing to speak on a matter within the jurisdiction of the Planning and Zoning Commission that's not on the agenda this evening, you may do so at this time. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 7, approval of minutes. And I'm looking for a motion on the approval of the minutes for the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting of November 14th, 2023. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Commissioner Roberts. Do I have a second? Oh, I think Commissioner Whipple beat you there. I have a second by Commissioner Whipple. All those in favor say aye. That passes unanimously as well. Moving on to item 8, summary of current events. We will begin with Commissioner Roberts.
Not to steal any thunder from Gentry, but it's a great day in Show Low. But I particularly do want to applaud our Public Works Department. As you drive down or anywhere in the city and you see all the beautiful lights that are out there, and they've done a lot of work. And I have driven into the city last year, a couple years ago, about 1 o'clock in the morning when there was no traffic on the Deuce and all those lights were on. And I got to tell you, it was an extremely glorious sight. Almost tempts me to just go out at 1 o'clock in the morning and see it again. So,
Odd man.
I'll just piggyback on that. I think the lights look great. The city did a great job downtown here as well as in the city park. It all looks great. So keep up the good work.
Great day in Shello. Happy holidays.
Yeah, we will not have another meeting this month, so this will be the last meeting before Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everyone. And I'll turn it over to Director Tregaskis.
You know, it's all been said, but I'm gonna say it again. Downtown lights, Christmas lights, they look great. Really, really impressive to drive through there. Public Works Department deserves a large portion of the credit for that. They spend a lot of time, they take a lot of pride in how that looks, so we want to give them a thank you. Also, just a reminder to the commission as well as the public, this is the last Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of the year. Next one won't be until January. So wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, Director. Seeing no other items on the agenda, I will adjourn our meeting.